figuring out how to put together your product in such a way that customers can respond to that has a very low cost, and then take the feedback from those customers to continue to improve upon it. And then you take it to a broader set of customers, and then you get more feedback and you continue to improve upon it. So it's very iterative, so that you're getting more and more exposure to your product. I am Paige Robinson, and I am the CEO and founder of Will Read. Will Read is a talent advisory for next generation founders. So we help founders that are building their business primarily in the tech industry grow and build out their early go-to-market team. So I've run my business for about 5 years. Prior to that, was in management consulting for a couple years, and I started my business because I do care deeply about vocation. I think it's pretty magical when people are working on things that are in line with their gifts and what they feel a passion for. So that still to this day brings me a lot of joy. It never gets old when you see somebody essentially move into a job that they didn't know about, or put them in a different industry that they're really excited about. And it makes their overall life and family better. My journey, honestly, over the last 5 years has really been figuring out how to do that and do that really well. And like most entrepreneurs, it's not a linear path. You start in one place and you take a step and you figure out if that step was right. And if it wasn't right, then you have to, kind of take a step back and take another step forward. But I would say where I am today is that, we get to work with some of, in my opinion, the coolest tech companies in the world that are making incredible products that make people's lives better. And our team needs to be on the front lines with those CEOs and founders, helping them figure out how to make sure that product gets in the hands of customers. So when I say go to market, we're really helping companies win and think about the right approach to sell, market their product in a way that people can access it and know it exists. We've gotten to be a part of helping companies kind of at different stages, and at different stages of a company's growth around go-to-market, they have different issues. So we've worked with companies as small as, maybe this is their very first salesperson or second salesperson. And at that point, our business is helping make sure, candidly, that the founder doesn't make a fatal mistake. If they hire the wrong salesperson, especially when you're venture backed, that could be a fatal mistake for a technical founder. Our team basically comes in and obviously helps them find great talent, but we also get to be kind of a partner and in some respects a consultant to make sure that the way that they're thinking about scaling their team doesn't put them lopsided or hurt their overall employer brand. As entrepreneurs, I think we are very optimistic. And honestly, if we weren't, you wouldn't get out of bed and build your venture. You just wouldn't. You have to sort of have this ingrained personality type to think that the sun will come up tomorrow. It's going to be better tomorrow than it was yesterday. Otherwise, you don't build businesses because it's just so dang hard. But I think that optimism has to be paired with a strong understanding of reality. And so I think what I'm really learning is to take a sober assessment of my own giftings and my own weaknesses, and then figuring out how do we as an organization, in a lot of respects, hire people around me to cover my blind sides, to cover the areas where I'm weak. And that sounds like a very basic thing, but I think I didn't probably appreciate how much not doing that early and often has, I think, made some things harder than it should have been as I built my business. I think being an entrepreneur, though, is the buck stops with you. You're taking the financial risk, you're taking the burden. If something doesn't get done, it's on you. And I think that's what makes it so hard, but also so rewarding. I think the best employees are very entrepreneurial. They think of the business like their own. They, think about how to make things better. They don't just take marching orders, they expand on that. But at the end of the day, they get to go home and they're not responsible for whether the business succeeds or fails. And again, I think that's what makes, being an entrepreneur so exhilarating and so incredibly challenging. I value harmony. And I think that in a lot of respects, that can make me a really good boss. Like, I think that makes me someone that's approachable, that, my employees, I don't think are afraid to come to me if they have an issue or they want to talk about something. And I think that harmony at all costs can mean that there are gaps in leadership if you don't have the courage to honestly do the things that maybe people disagree with at the moment, because you have a strong conviction that it's the right thing to do. And so I am kind of actively finding that right balance of what is me as an entrepreneur. What does that look like, where I'm living into the best parts of being a harmonious, peaceful person, while also making sure that I'm not abdicating in key areas of leadership because of that. I am really proud of the fact that when I look back over the last 5 years, we have had the opportunity to employ a number of people that have spent, maybe it was a year, maybe it was 3 years at our company. And they came through Will Read. I think for the most part, we've left people a lot better than we found them. Like, we've made, we've encouraged the gifts that they have. We've, told them that we care about them, and we've hopefully given them and equipped them with like key skills that make them, even more marketable, which I think, honestly, if you look at our alumni base that have come through Will Read, they've all gone on to some pretty incredible companies. I think the biggest thing as an entrepreneur is that if you're an entrepreneur, it's because you're positive and you like to say yes, right? Like, you have to have those traits oftentimes to be an entrepreneur. You have to say yes to a crazy idea. You have to say yes to going out on your own. You have to say yes to getting a bank loan. You have to say yes to raising money. You have to say yes to the risk of hiring people. But one of the biggest things I'm learning, and that I wish I had learned sooner, which is to not let your calendar happen to you. And so the only way that your calendar doesn't happen to you is that you say no to things. Like, it seems kind of strange, but I have to think through scenarios and responses that enable me to say no in a way that feels generous and kind. The natural drift of being an entrepreneur is that your identity is 100% your venture. So if your venture is doing really well, that's great. If your venture is not doing really well, then your whole identity is shattered. So enter the coronavirus, right? Something totally out of your control. Your venture may not be doing very well right now because of all the things. And if your identity was 100% married to how your venture is doing, then your identity has been destroyed over something that's totally out of your control. And so I personally have made that mistake. And if I am not really, really intentional about doing health checks and gut checks around that, that is my natural drift, is to make my identity my venture. And when I've done that, I have not done things as well when I'm in that place. And so anyway, I encourage others to, bring people into their lives that can help them with that gut check, find where your real identity is. As an entrepreneur, the highs are higher and the lows are lower, but that doesn't mean that it's not worth doing. Nothing for me has been more gratifying, exciting, fun than being a part of building something with people I care about, around something I care about. And so that doesn't mean it's right for everyone. I think you have to have some right structural things to do it and do it well. But I would encourage you to do it. I think it's totally, totally worth doing. And let's face it, all the best things in life are hard. All of them. Friendship, hard. Marriage, hard. Having kids, hard. But those are the things that when you're on your deathbed, you'll look back on and you're like, that was worth it. That was the thing that mattered. And I think building a business can be very similar to that as well. I think what's so amazing right now about starting a business is that honestly, for most things, it doesn't cost a lot of money to get to a minimum viable product. And so I think that the lean startup methodology, I think is still a pretty powerful, pretty powerful process to help entrepreneurs very practically go from ideation to market readiness. So like figuring out how to put together your product in such a way that customers can respond to that has a very low cost, and then take the feedback from those customers to continue to improve upon it. And then you take it to a broader set of customers, and then you get more feedback and you continue to improve upon it. So it's very iterative, so that you're getting more and more exposure to your product. I think branding used to kind of differentiate you and make you a leg up above the competition. And now I think it's something that if you have a poor brand, it can be kind of a death knell, depending on what industry you're in. I think it's very key. So thank you, viewers, for watching the Founder X series by Designhill. You can follow us at Will Read HQ on Instagram, and we also have a Twitter, and we also are on Facebook. So please find us, Will Read HQ, on all those platforms.